everybody, welcome back. It's Stephen and John with a guest, Alexandra from Davenport European Martial Arts School. Today, what I wanted to talk to you about was a bit of study that I've been doing working on the physiological differences between men and women within the fight. This really started for me with a book I read called The Armored Rose. And I'm going to put a link to that in the description of this video as well. But when we look at training women versus training men, it's important to understand the physiological differences in their bodies so that when we ask them to do something, they don't hurt themselves. And honestly, women are stronger than men. They're tougher than us because we will hurt ourselves, whine and quit. Women have been told their whole lives that they have to work harder to get to the same place as a man does, therefore they generally will push through pain. But because most martial arts instructors are men, when they teach a woman to do an action, they teach her to move as he would move. And physiologically, women don't. Therefore, it's important to understand the difference. And so with Alexandra's help today, we're going to look at just a couple of those. If we look at our two subjects, so put your feet together for me, please. When we look at their bodies, if we look at their knees, when they come down on John, we can see more space in between the calves, just below the knee, than we can on Alexandra. Stand like this for me so your feet are just a little bit wider. A general rule, and this is not something that is hard and fast, but for structure, we tell men often, put your feet about shoulder width apart. For women, that doesn't work. They need to be hip width apart-ish. And if we look at that, when we look at these two, when John is standing there, as he comes down, his legs go in a straight line to the ground. Whereas Alexandra's, they come down the thigh, hit the knee, and then kick out a little bit. So women's legs at the knees do this just a little bit. They give a stronger base underneath them than a man's legs that go straight down to the ground. From there, we're going to move up to the hips. A great example of the hips. Go ahead and put your feet together again, please. And then point your hand straight ahead. Now, what I'd like you to do is, without moving your feet, turn across your body to point at the wall directly behind you. So turn this way, as far as you can. She can turn a lot more than he can. If I try to make him do it, I'm going to break something inside the back. All right, go ahead and relax. Because of the hip rotation, women can turn a lot more than men. I like to tell the ladies in my classes that this is their superpower. But just because you have a superpower doesn't mean you should use it all the time. Use it when it's appropriate, but if it's going to break your structure, don't. And that means I need to be aware that when a woman is turning, they're going to move at the hips differently than a man will. Another example, can we move back a little bit? So what I'd like you two to do is just actually go all the way against the wall, please, on either side of the throne. And then just walk forward. Just walk forward, normal walk. You'll notice their legs move slightly differently. With this, when a man is walking, he's a little bit wider with his feet than when a woman is walking. There's a reason for that. They don't have the same kind of gear. So they're going to move differently in the way they walk. So then we're going to go to wrists. What I'm going to ask them to do now, they have sticks. So go ahead and face each other and back away from one another so that you don't hit each other. Good, that's good. Hold your stick out like it's a sword, just to the side, straight out at arm's length, palm up, and then bring your hand across your body until your point is aimed at your partner. So one at a time. So why don't you go first, Alexander? Great. Now, John, will you go, please?
Yes, sir.
John's arm has to cross his body past his shoulder to get his point on line, whereas Alexander's arm is straight out. And that's due to the physiology of the wrist. That's going to change it. That means in a straight speed contest, the woman will win every time because they don't need to move as far across their body. Now, another example, I'll go ahead and take these, is in the elbow. If John and I shake hands, when we do it, our elbows point here. So, Alexander, will you please hold that and then stand right here on this side and put that in line with my elbow, please. So it's running in the line that my elbow's pointing. So we'll go right here. Hold it down here. Hold it there. So that's the line that my elbow's pointing. Would you agree? Let's go ahead and turn this way so they can see it in the camera. All right. Go and do that again. So it'd be right about, come a little bit closer to me. There. Would you agree?
Yep.
So this is the angle that our elbows are pointing. And I'll go ahead and take that. And would you shake John's hand? If we do this here, John's elbow is pointing there, and Alexander's elbow is pointing there. It's less angle. So that means that her elbow goes underneath, rolls underneath, and the inside of the elbow comes up more than his does. Which is, we see, go ahead and relax for a second, we see this often in couples walking. And what I mean by that is, will you two stand next to each other and just hold hands for me? This is the way they naturally go. This is what I mean, because her elbow and her wrist turn out away from her body, but his elbow and his wrist turn into his body. Physiologically, this is going to have a big effect on the use of any weapon. Okay, thank you. So there we have just a real quick look at the knees, the hips, the wrist, and the elbow in the difference between a male body and a female body. Physiologically speaking, there is going to be a difference in the way that you need to ask them to move. If I try to get Alexandra to move like John or myself, she'll get hurt. If either one of us tries to move like Alexandra, we'll get hurt because physiologically we're not built the same. Be aware of that in your training. Let's protect our friends, our students, and let's make all of our martial arts grow. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Alexandra, thank you so much. John, thank you. Take care, everyone.